Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Ferris, 23-year-old conservative activist, host of Speechless, the radio show, but also right here on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, wherever the heck you're watching from. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. Especially, I see a lot of people finding me on Twitter right now, or X, formerly known as Twitter. Make sure that you guys retweet this, like this video, all that fun stuff. But let's get on into the action. As we saw at the very beginning there, President Biden had quite the blunder today. However, it's not necessarily something that he isn't accustomed to. Reading the teleprompter. Man, not only does he have trouble reading the teleprompter, he has trouble not reading the teleprompter when he's not supposed to. Let's take a look and a listen at that clip that we started off with one more time. Here's that.
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years.
Pause. Did you guys hear that? Hear that one more time.
Pause.
4 more years. 4 more years.
You can see him looking there. He's like, "Oh, was I supposed to read that? Was I supposed to read that?" And then let's see. You can see. Oh, and then he's like, "Ha! Well, they must have not caught it because they're screaming 4 more years." But here's what this shows us, everybody, is when it comes to President Biden, when it comes to his reading of the teleprompter, not only is it just that, it's everything around at these events that he goes to. They're all 100% staged. They are all meticulously written down minute by minute exactly what is going to happen at what time. Oh, at this point, they're going to scream 4 more years. They're going to cheer for him. And so then he's supposed to pause. And he said the quiet part out loud. And that's exactly what happened. And a lot of people are comparing this instance to Ron Burgundy out of the New York Post. In a case of life imitating art, the commander-in-chief blurted out the stage note pause Wednesday while addressing union members in the nation's capital. 4 more years, pause, said Biden, 81, which is very similar to Will Ferrell's buffoonish newsman character in the classic 2004 comedy, The Anchorman. Members of North America's building trades union stepped in and dutifully chanted 4 more years in response to the president's botched cue. And that's exactly what we have as the commander-in-chief of this nation right now. It is an absolute buffoon who can't even get his cue correct. His handlers are really screwing the pooch on this one. But this is Joe Biden has had recently. Just yesterday, he had some very interesting things to say about his own presidency and Trump and others. Take a look and a listen at this gaffe right here. It seems as though maybe my audio was messed up on my screen share. Let me get this back up here. Here we go. Take a look and a listen to this clip right here.
In a sense, I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted?
Did you guys catch that? One more time.
In a sense, I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted?
How many times do we have to prove we can't be trusted? Too many, Joe, because the lamestream media will continue to support you for no reason. And that's Joe Biden right now. And then there's even this other one where just right after that same exact speech, Joe Biden tried to shake hands with a ghost during his speech in Florida the other day that had a lackluster attendance. Take a look and a listen to this clip right here. Who is he trying to shake hands with? Who is he trying to shake hands with? That's our president, everybody. That is the person that is currently running our country. Let's take a look at that one more time. Let's get the play-by-play. So his speech ends, and he goes, and who's there? And then he kind of does like that little trip one more time. Let's see if we can even get it in slow motion here. He kind of does this little like, Oh, he kind of trips a little bit. He kind of trips up on his step a little bit. And then he's like, oh, nobody's there. Nobody's there. And he's just like, gives a little thumbs up for the tens of people in the crowd. That's it. That is our president, everybody. That is the man that is currently running our country. Absolutely insane. And that's just in the last few days. We consistently see content upon content of this president showing his age further and further and further, and it's absolutely saddening. And this is what we have. And the saddest thing about all of this, though, is that if Trump were to have done any of these things, if he were to have shook hands with a ghost, if he were to say we can't be trusted, if he were to have come out and read the teleprompter cues, the lamestream media would be playing it over and over and over again. That's what we would have. And it's really sad that that's the current state of affairs in this country. But that's why you need to get out and vote. And if this is what you want to vote for, the man that shakes hands with the air, the man who doesn't know where he is, and the one who says pause, or even the one that self-admittedly can't be trusted, go for it. But then bear the burden and responsibility of what you voted for, if that's what you want. That's President Joe Biden for all of you. I have a jam-packed show today. I have a lot of fun things, but if you want to add anything else to the show today, please, please, please let me know in the comments. You can put pretty much anything there. I have a mailbag. I got an email this last week, just about, maybe it was 2 weeks ago now. And I got of somebody who wanted me to talk about something. And so we're going to get to that. I also am supposed to be having my good friend Josh Bender join the show, talk a little bit about Andrew Tate and his interesting takes that he's had recently. And so we'll get to that. We'll get to a lot of other things here, but I do want to give a chance to shout out our sponsors, Freedom 2.0, Freedom Water. I always love my Freedom Water. Got it right by me right here. I'm going to actually go to one of their commercials real quick, take a look and a listen. Freedom 2.0, it's amazing water. Use code BREAKAWAY at the checkout to get 15% off. Freedom 2.0, great water. It supports great people. Doesn't have any fluoride, won't turn you gay, won't turn the frogs gay, nothing like that. No, nothing like that. But let's get on into the next story now. I found this on NWokeness's Twitter page. There's a squatter. And so last week I talked about how Gordon Ramsay had squatters in his restaurant hotel thingy. And they were basically holding that property for a ransom. Well, now this squatter, I saw this video. It's a short video. And I find it hilarious. It's really, really sad, but a news host from a local Fox affiliate went out and tried to talk to this squatter. And when I say squatter, I mean a person who is living in a home or a property that is not theirs. They do not own it, but they deemed it abandoned. And so all of a sudden, somehow they have some level of ownership to it. It's honestly people who support squatters having significant rights, any right that to that property. Anybody who supports the idea that a squatter should have a right to a property that they don't own is pretty stupid. And not only stupid, it's communistic. It is derived from the idea that nobody really owns anything. Private property doesn't exist, and you have no right to anything. And money is all fake and has no value, no meaning, anything like that. But what you guys have all been waiting for, probably one of the funniest things I have seen all day, and you'll see exactly why right here. Take a look and a listen to the squatter.
If I left my house, say for a month, and a half.
and a half.
Mm-hmm.
That extra half is super important because that must have been how long this person. This is in Detroit, by the way. And she's like, and a half, month and a half. Don't worry. It's like when like you ask a 4-year-old, how old are you? And they're like, and you're like, oh, are you 4? And they're like, and a half. I'm 4.5. Yeah, that's how these squatters act. They're petulant children.
You think you would be entitled to move in there?
Well,
Take my stuff.
well,
move in
it's
there?
a lot of. I'm not the only one that is squatting. It's a lot of other people on the block.
And so there's a logical. Not that I expect this person's like arguments or ideas to be of particular intelligence, especially because she's squatting, but that argument right there. One more time for it.
I'm not the only one that is squatting. It's a lot of other.
So he asks the question: if I were to leave my home for a month and a half, would that be okay? Like for you to just move in and do whatever? And she goes, "Well, I'm not the only one." Cool. That's not what I asked. What she did there, and I don't think she did it purposefully. I think that it was just her. I think it's mainly her trying to justify her horrid behavior that she already knows is horrid. What she's trying to do is say, oh, well, because I'm not the only one, it's okay. That's simply not true. A lot of people do heroin. Doesn't make doing heroin okay. A lot of people are morbidly obese. Doesn't make being morbidly obese okay. Like, just because a lot of people do something, and I hate to sound like my parents because I always hated when they said this, but just because everybody's jumping off a bridge, would you too? But that's what that's the exact same logic that she's trying to use here, and a lot of people are using it all around our cities and everywhere. It's, oh, well, I just saw other people loot, so that must mean it's okay if I do it. No, that means you are weak-willed and really are just really need to evaluate who you are as a person and who you're living as. Let's keep going.
People on the block, if you want to be technical, and a lot of people encouraged me to do what I'm doing now.
But she wants her place back.
Yeah, but I had put a lot of work in here.
So the person, I love, he's like, the person who owns this place wants it back. And she's like, but I put a lot of work in here. Keep watching.
And I spent a lot of money. I am on a fixed.
Whoever owns it spent a lot of money getting this. I love watching this crap because it's just like the mental gymnastics this individual is playing. And it seems like she has all of her teeth, so I don't think she's high on crack, or if she is, she's pretty new to it.
Income.
Is that power hooked up legit there?
Watch this. This is like the funniest thing. Is that power hooked up legit there?
My power is.
That's not legit.
Is not legit.
No, you stealing a bit of power.
I am blessed.
What do you do for
Did you hear that? One more time, just because it's probably the funniest thing. They're like literally zooming in right here. They're like, that's not legit. You're stealing that power. Like, you're doing that. And he's like, so you're stealing a little bit of power. Like, basically just calling her out on it. Listen to what she says.
No, you stealing a bit of power.
I am blessed.
Like it's an act of God. Like somehow God just like lightning bolt the house that she's stealing and squatting in. And she's just like, and all of a sudden, oh my God, God just gave us power. And that just like, it's like it's out of a cartoon or something. No, that's not how it works. You're not just blessed. That's the thing with these people. Anybody who goes and squats and thinks that they have a right to what they're living in, what they're living with and as, they're basically, they're criminals. Like they are professional thieves. And I'd hate to say that this woman is a professional at anything because she seems relatively unintelligent. However, she's a professional thief. Like, and she's taking advantage of the system that we've created by putting in people that have enabled this kind of behavior.
What do you do for a living?
I receive Social Security. I don't have
What
no
happened?
secrets.
So I said professional thieves. Steals the house, steals the power. And now, one more time, listen to that.
I don't have
What
no
happened?
secrets.
Disability?
Yes.
What's your ailment?
I'm not going to say.
That's her right. If I left.
Did you hear that? I'm not going to say. And she lives on Social Security. And this is probably the worst part because I wouldn't want to live in a city, and I wouldn't choose to live in a city that gave a significant level of right to somebody to basically just steal my property. However, you could live anywhere or anywhere in the country. You're being taken advantage of right now. And it's because there are people that are out there that are collecting disability and Social Security as a scam. This person makes thousands of dollars a month to steal somebody else's property and steal power and sit on their ass and do nothing besides think of new ways to steal. That's what this person does for a living. She just said so. You can hear it again.
What do you do for a living?
I receive Social Security. I don't have
What
no
happened?
secrets.
Disability?
Yes,
What's your ailment?
I'm not gonna say.
That's her right. If I left.
I'm not gonna say. I think that could actually even be one of those fake men or fake women that is like a biological man. But no, and so we have professional thieves, and they're not the ones that are really. This is really a professional thief because you'll see on the news, oh my gosh, Walgreens looted. Like people are going to loot a Walgreens, or there's some guy that walks into a gas station with the trash can and he's just pushing everything off the shelves into the trash can. He's going to walk out with all that stuff. And that's bad too, because we're enabling that by trying to delegitimize our police forces with lack of funding, lack of support, and lack of any kind of respect, general decency towards our men in blue. But the people that go in and just walk in and do that are not necessarily professional thieves because they're just going in and they're going to get a one-time TV or something like that. No. This person right here is actually a professional thief. Why? Why is she a professional thief? Because she Jimmy rigged the power, has literally is squatting in somebody else's place in Detroit, where I guarantee the police have some legal bound to not forcefully evict this person and arrest them for stealing property. That's essentially what it is. This is stealing property. Let's call it what it is. Squatting is a nice term for stealing property, but the Democrats at some point soon are going to have you saying bull crap like, oh my gosh, it's a displaced homeless person that accidentally got displaced into somebody else, or like they're an undocumented owner of this household. Like that's what the Democrats are going to have you believe because they want to take what is yours by all means necessary. Now, it's been a lifelong, I mean, prior to me, it's been since like basically the founding of the Democratic Party in which they want to in some way take your money. Seriously. Maybe not since the found. I know it goes all the way back to like 1778 or whatever when the Democrats were actually founded. But at least since the 20th century, at least, the Democrats have been all about higher taxation, more public, more funding, or more things going on by the government, growing the scope of government, and taking more ownership away from private citizens. You don't get to own your money. You don't get to decide where it goes to be spent. The government's going to do that. They're going to be better at that. And then they go into things like now we're getting into the point where they've gotten a lot of your money. They're going to keep trying to get more, but they kind of have gotten a good hold on that. So now they're going to decrease your ownership of your own property. They're going to make it so that you don't even get your children anymore. Whatever private right you thought you had, you're going to consistently get less and less and less and less. That is what the Democrats want. And this squatter is another perfect example of that. What do you guys think? Am I wrong? Am I right? Let me know in the comments. I could be an idiot. But seriously, guys, let's get the comments rolling. I'll bring them up on screen. We could talk about some other things. I know my good friend Josh Bender is going to be joining me soon. He actually is a part of a union, and I am usually fairly anti-union. He's going to talk a little bit about his experience as a part of a teachers union in Nevada. And we're also going to discuss Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, as we are both two young men that apparently the media will tell you that all young men like us listen and love Andrew Tate. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. We're going to talk about that. So there's my squatter. I wanted to talk about this next one. Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson has gone viral on Twitter today, all over. I've been watching it a little bit because he actually did something that is pretty cool. And I never thought I'd be talking about a Hollywood Reporter a Hollywood Reporter article. But I thought this was really cool. And I covered a lot of stuff about the O.J. Simpson's death. I covered O.J. Simpson's death for several reasons, but one of the biggest ones that I have multiple videos on my channel about is because O.J. Simpson basically shaped and ended out the 90s. I mean, I know he was like a mid-90s thing, but really contributed a lot to the state of race relations and to show the difference and divide that people had, especially stoked by the Rodney King riots and by the media at the time. And his case, and Johnny Cochran being the attorney that he was, Johnny Cochran I have mixed emotions on. I'm going to bring this picture up right now and say, since we're talking a little bit about OJ, Johnny Cochran, I have very mixed emotions on, and it's because I'm going to be an attorney. I'm going to law school here in just a few months. And as an attorney, he did his job so well. Now, the impact that had, he did his job well in the fact of, if his job is to get his client off, his guilty client off as a defense attorney, then yes, he did it pretty well. If his job was to promote a sound and quality adherence to the law, not so much, because what he did was he ultimately stoked he was lighting the flint, he was lighting the match to the overall explosion of digressing in relations of race to a point not seen since 1950s, early 1960s America. And Obama contributed to that too. Rodney King's case contributed to that. The media significantly has contributed to that. But they stoked these divisions for political gain entirely. And so O.J. Simpson is just a fascinating case of that. But I want to bring up Owen Wilson here. And the reason why I want to talk about Owen Wilson is because he actually turned down some. So the tweets and everything that I saw about Owen Wilson were really funny, because it was like, Owen Wilson turns down a chance to be an O.J. Simpson movie. And the way that they all read made it sound like they were trying to cast Owen Wilson as the black man O.J. Simpson. And that just made me, I died. I thought it was hilarious. But no, out of the Hollywood Reporter, which is not something I usually read, but I did today, the O.J. Simpson movie that Owen Wilson, among others, won't be starring in. Hey, Hollywood, anybody interested in a partially finished film about O.J. Simpson might have been that saying that O.J. Simpson might have been innocent. One that stars Charlotte Kirk, the English actress best known for a previous role in Taking Down Moguls, Kevin, just a bunch of Hollywood people. If yes, then today's your lucky day. According to British director Joshua Newton, about 30 minutes of The Juice, which was originally titled Nicole and OJ, is in the can, mostly flashback scenes featuring Kirk and German-born actor Boris Koji, currently on ABC's Station 19, who plays the late NFL star turned acquitted murderer. Newton, who has been working on this satirical thriller since 2015, says the picture's main plotline involves a real-life attorney named Douglas McCann, who got sucked into various conspiracy theories during Simpson's 1995 criminal trial. Finding the right actor for that part, he notes, has been one of the major hurdles holding back the film's completion. Owen Wilson, who is pictured up on my screen, was perfect for the role. Newton tells a Rambling Reporter, I actually had a meeting with him in Santa Monica. Everybody loved the script. His agent wanted him to do it. We offered him $12 million. Hey, $12 million. Hey. But at the end of the lunch, Owen stood up and said, if you think I'm going to take the lead role in a movie about how OJ didn't do it, you have got to be kidding me. Newton says he's finally found another spot-on actor for the part, but Owen Wilson obviously did not do it, which is interesting because OJ did do it. So I find it fascinating just looking at all this, and I just thought it was important to point out because oftentimes we hear about the terrible, terrible things that people in Hollywood are doing, many of them tangentially related to, if not deeply rooted themselves in some level of sexual misconduct, pedophilia, anything like that. if not even just exalting the idea of the LGBT community, the liberal propaganda that we consistently see coming out. And Owen Wilson, here he is, a guy that's actually stood up for some level of truth, in the fact that he denied the opportunity to be for $12 million. He denied $12 million when he would have been in a movie that said the juice was innocent. So I thought that was really interesting. And worth talking about a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. We're going to take a quick commercial break here to talk about Freedom Water, which is a great brand. I've talked about Freedom Water before, Freedom 2.0. You guys should all go check it out. They support me and other people. They have fun little slogans on their stuff. It says, "This water ain't woke." And there's also no fluoride in it. So it tastes good and won't make you gay like the frogs. So we're going to take a quick break for that so I can get this next story pulled up. But don't go anywhere, because Josh Bender will be joining me soon to talk about how he's a closeted homosexual. So we're going to talk about that and more coming up soon.
Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Here, have some Freedom 2.0. Now, the Constitution is awesome. That's what it is.
Freedom 2.0, a great brand. Everybody should go check it out. Again, this water ain't woke, and it's just pretty dope. I drink it. I like it. I also have another drink right here. But now we got my good friend Josh Bender in here. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm getting over a cold. I've had a cold for like a week, but you know.
I got you. Okay. Well, Josh, I want to talk about the Andrew Tate stuff a little bit with you. We're going to talk about that soon. But first, I want to talk a little bit, if you're willing to talk about it. So Josh is a teacher. For anybody who did not know, Josh is a high school social studies teacher, loves American history and the Constitution and all that stuff. And also hates communism, and he's also not trying to make your kids gay either. So,
no, I'm not.
We like Josh, despite being gay himself. But clarify that you can try to pretend like you're not, but he's not actually.
I'm very straight.
He's not out. He's not out of the closet yet, but
sure, yeah.
But Josh, talk if you can about your union experience. You had like a union thing this week.
Yeah. So I don't know how much I can talk about it. I'll talk about it though, because I really perfectly don't care. So yeah, I am a part of the union at our school. I joined because our local union is really good. There's a lot of conservative teachers around me. It's a very conservative area, so I felt comfortable joining. And I was I was a delegate, so I had to go to our delegate assembly. And while there was within the same day 2 different ads for Joe Biden. One of them was from our PAC. There's a PAC that I don't donate
at
to.
your union meeting, like at
the official state union meeting.
At your nonpartisan official state.
Right. And so the PAC basically said, well, yes, we're nonpartisan, but we endorse Joe Biden. And so they gave an ad. I was actually surprised at how many Biden voters stood up and said, this is ridiculous. Like they were like, this is absurd that this is happening. And then another one, we had a keynote speaker who was a part of the big national union. And he's been working with the Biden administration. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Maybe, that's a cool opportunity for him. I don't blame him for taking it. And he spent about the entire speech becoming just, it was just a Donald Trump is evil. And here's why you should elect Biden speech. And again, people got up and said, listen, I'm a Biden voter and I think what you're doing is wrong. I think this is absurd. I think this is wrong. Numerous times there was fighting against the union saying, what you're doing is wrong. And numerous times I tried to stand up and we tried to do 2 resolutions. One of them that remained nonpartisan, which was basically shot down as out of order. Another one was we would back legislation to arm teachers because our governor's in support of that. And the delegation shot it down without hearing us, which, okay, fine. The next day, I tried to suspend the rules to get it reheard, and the president was like, no, you can't do that. I go, well, plenty of other people have suspended the rules for lesser reasons. And other people got up and said, I'd actually like to hear what they have to say. Like, I might not necessarily vote for it, but I think they have the right to hear it and have the right to say it. And so it was actually kind of cool to have people who don't necessarily agree with me, in the delegation who are willing to stand up and say, no, they at least deserve to be heard, and especially if they're voicing their union's voices. And I don't know how much that was my union's voice, but they have the right to be heard.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like it was more the president and all them, like the board, that were unwilling to hear it, versus the delegation, who was actually willing to try to hear us, and also who said, this is ridiculous what you're doing.
Yeah. No, that absolutely makes sense. It's interesting to hear that's how the union operates, even in a red state, and even in a state where you felt comfortable joining because your school union or your school district's union seemed to be a little bit more Republican.
Yeah. I mean, they fought against vax mandates and mask mandates. I mean, they were really during COVID. I mean, they made sure they didn't happen.
Do you think that's why? So, because you've only been teaching there for about 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So you've only been teaching there for about 2 years, and they had their union rep position open. And so,
yeah.
Did you run for it, or like were you running unopposed? Like how did that go?
So basically, there's 2 reps. There was like 5 of them. One of them another person had to step down because they got a promotion, and so they couldn't be on it. So I took that position, and then the delegate, there was 2 positions, and again, someone else stepped down, and so I kind of filled that role. I did run technically, but I was running more unopposed.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Well, so do you think it might have been open because of how Democrat the state union was, and so everybody was like, they were like, we want to fight, and like we'll voice and we'll like support you, but like we've tried. Do you think
possibly
there's any level of apathy from the people around you? Maybe.
Possibly. I think it was also a level of, if they ever need me to go like lobby, I'd be the lobbyist. And so people are maybe worried about speaking to politicians. You know, they're not like me, who's had a lot of practice with it and who's worked for politicians and, you know, who has had practice with it. For me, it's a no-brainer for me to go be that position.
Yeah.
But to others, they might be like, that's a lot for me. Where me, I was like, no, I want to go send me to Carson City. Let me go talk to these politicians.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there was another willingness there too, of like, I'm ready to do it.
That makes sense. Well, I'm happy to hear that at least you're still fighting and doing your best on that. But I want to talk about this Andrew Tate stuff. Have you actually looked into what Andrew Tate said today that's been going viral on Twitter?
Today, no, I saw something from last week.
Yeah.
That Ben Shapiro talked about, but
there's a lot from last week. And if we want to talk about that, we can, because that was I forgot. That one had to do with like marriage and just like going and like basically screwing whatever you want. Like
men just go. Yeah, it was just go and have as many kids as you can with many women as you can.
Yeah. And so this kind of builds off that, because this morning he said something that I've only ever heard virgins say. So I'm serious. Like I'm not even.
All right.
But this is what he had to say. He said, "Sex is for making children. Any man who has sex with a woman because it, quote, feels good is gay." Oh, my pee-pee feels good. This is great. In fact, if you are 40 with less than 5 children, you're probably gay. All that feel-good pee-pee sex and hardly any genetic legacy, question mark.
All right.
This sounds like a man who was like super high on coke, and he was like, "Man, I just got an idea, man. Seriously, man. I know it's been a little while, but what I gotta say is that sex is just for making children, man. I just had this realization, like we shouldn't even be trying to do it. Oh, my pee-pee feel good." Like that's how it sounds to me. It's like this man just got coked out.
This sounds similar to something that who was it? Nick Fuentes said. Nick Fuentes said something very similar. He took it a step further. He said that I forgot exactly. It was something along the lines of any sex with a woman, like at all without producing a child is gay, and by him being celibate, he's actually the straightest you can ever be. Something along those lines, which I'm pretty sure Nick Fuentes was exposed as allegedly he had some gay pornography on his computer one time, and it was during a live stream. So compensating much, and I think, this is interesting.
Well, that's interesting. I want to point out too. Okay, so in here he says if you're 40 with less than 5 children, you're probably gay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's point something out real quick. So Andrew Tate, if we look here, is about 37 years old.
Yep.
So 3 years away from being 40. And if we look at how many kids he hasn't disclosed any information about his baby mamas, but he has claimed in the past that he has children. Tate didn't give a specific number of the kids he has, but stated it is double digits between 10 and 12. So there's no, here's the thing. Andrew Tate's daughter is famous to the public as he posts videos while embracing her. So he does have, at least from what I know about Andrew Tate, he has one verifiable child.
Right.
One verifiable child. And he says daughter, I mean, like, but there's no information about his baby mamas. Is it even his?
Right. Well, I mean, and I think this is where you get down to. There's this red-pilled society of people like Andrew Tate and all his.
Okay, but I don't think Andrew Tate's red-pilled. That's what
he's not.
Finish your thought, but like we should talk about that.
Well, he's not. But that's the thing is he claims he's red-pilled, and there's a bunch of other people in this red-pilled society that talk like him who are just full of nonsense. I mean. Look, clearly Andrew Tate is not a good person. People look to him when they're lonely, and I understand that. He is filling a void. He's filling a void for the men that are in the lonely men epidemic that we're having. But he's not a good guy. I mean, he runs a cam girl site. He has his Hustlers University, which is all about like drop selling for Amazon. CoffeeZilla.
He's a Muslim, which I can say.
Is he Muslim?
He's
Oh.
He's talked about converting to Islam multiple times. And this is why, like, he has no, like, here's the thing is there's all these people like, oh my God, you're an Islamophobe or anything like that. Read the Quran. Muhammad, Josh, you don't have to agree with me. You might not even know any of this stuff, but
yeah.
Muhammad was a verifiable pedophile. Talked about marrying underage women, having sex with like 10-year-olds. Like when I say underage, I'm not like, oh my God, like it's 17, like she's close enough or anything like it, which is still messed up. But it's like not even like it's prepubescent women. And that's what Muhammad, the Jesus of Islam, was a awful person. If you compare scripture, Islam says if people disagree with you, kill them, slaughter them. Don't as Christianity, everything with Christianity says evangelize, love. Like, yes, don't necessarily accept sin, but don't go slaughter somebody because they're gay or because they're off the right path. Islam, on the other hand, is terrible. And I could go on multiple rants about how much I dislike Islam, but because I don't think people are hard enough on it because the left has run this, like, because especially after 9/11, all these people were like, well, there's good people that practice Islam. And that's not what I'm saying. There are good people that practice Islam, but that doesn't mean that the religion is that good anyways. But that's just another thing with Andrew Tate. And I think you're right, Josh, when it comes to the idea that young, not just lonely. I think lonely is too broad. It's young men that are rightfully disgruntled. Like,
sure.
And when I say rightfully, now their actions with their sense of being disgruntled is not correct for the most part. Following Andrew Tate is not the way to solve the issues that you have. The solution to you not being able to get a date is not go to the gym 24/7. Now, working on your fitness and working and feeling better for yourself so that you can go have sex with a lot of women is not a reason to go work out.
Right.
Feeling better about yourself, just yourself, is the reason why you should go work out.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, and I think, again, and I think, especially during this time of, I know you talked about this a couple weeks ago of like the don't want to work, just kind of making money the easy way. Mm-hmm. Andrew Tate also offers a solution. That's Hustlers University, which, by the way, I saw that comment about you should join. CoffeeZilla is a great YouTuber who went to Hustlers. He joined Hustlers University and exposed what it was. And it is all so stupid. Like he did a 20-minute video on it. It's really good. He's exposed. He's dug into Tate a lot in his businesses. I mean, I think Tate is one of those figures that. So the way Shapiro described him, I think it was good. He says sometimes he says good things, but he says things on both sides, and then if you disagree with one, he says, "Look, everyone's after me now." Well, when you say things against both sides, you're going to be attacked from both sides.
Yeah,
he'll say one thing, then immediately flip the script and say something else.
Well, and that's the thing. Andrew Tate was being a person who is kind of within a lot of because I get to know a lot of different content creators, people that do like this podcasting stuff for a full-time living. And we all talk about Andrew Tate, but we don't talk about Andrew Tate and like, oh my gosh, we love that guy or we love everything he says. We talk about him in the fact that Andrew Tate, and a lot of people don't know this, and it's like pretty public information too, is what he did in his like long form content is, and especially within Hustlers University, is he basically garnered a following in a way that's similar to creating a cult. Not exactly, it's not like Jim Jones, like where he totally brainwashed people. It's that he offered a solution to a vulnerable community.
Yeah.
A solution that validated them rather than challenged them. Because that's the thing, is you're not going to be able to cultivate a following if you tell everybody, or not usually. You're not going to cultivate a following usually by making that by challenging everything they know. You challenge just enough to where it makes them think and makes them think that they are coming up with a new idea, but in reality they're not. Andrew Tate is telling you everything that you're supposed to be doing, and you're letting him think for you, and that's, you're leasing out your brain to Andrew Tate. And then he also consistently put in there, not only was he providing all this valuable information to his followers, he would then say, we need to bring more people in this, and if you want to be a top G, which then makes people feel rewarded. You want to be a top G, then go share this content. And then
Right.
That's when you started seeing all these little syndicates of like these almost bot looking accounts that were just sharing and sharing and sharing. And you'd have one clip that would be, like you said, wildly erratic. And it would be like, women shouldn't vote and we should also just treat them like animals. Like that's what he'd say. But then you'd have another one. And this is what would get shown in like average people's feeds. And it would be like, if you want to get to where you want to be, you should wake up every morning at 6 a.m., take a cold shower and go for a run, which is like kind of a reasonable thing. And then, so then you'd have grandmas and grandpas that are watching and they'd be like, oh, this Andrew Tate guy seems good. I should ask Billy about him. And then Billy gets on to Andrew Tate because then he starts watching this other shit where it's like, oh my God, I can have sex with anybody I want. All I have to do is pay $150 a year and join Top G University or whatever. So,
yeah, I mean, and exactly. Well, and even then, it was like he would say, yeah, he would go and say, you know, oh, treat women like property. They love it when you just treat them like terrible, like trash, and and they're just your objects. And then a week later, it'd be on a podcast. Go, actually, I think marriage is a great institution. We should be married more, and we should. He says both within the same week.
Yep.
And then, so then when someone says, okay, that's right, but the other thing you said is wrong, he goes, look, the right's attacking me. And then someone goes, oh, well, this is wrong. He goes, look, the left's attack. Clearly, I'm breaking the matrix. Everyone's attacking me.
Yeah.
Well, they're attacking you because you're saying things against both sides that are equal. Like you can say some good things, say some bad. That, of course, everyone's attacking you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I kept even going back. I think I even have a video about Andrew Tate, like much earlier when I had only first started watching some of his stuff, learning about who he was. And I even said in it, like, I keep going back and forth on this guy because when you watch clips, just like you said, like he'll say one thing I hate, and then he'll say something I agree with. Then he'll say something I hate. Then he'll say something I agree with. And it's just like I can't nail it down. I can't nail it down. And so overall, I think he's a clout chaser. And then I think he's come to a point now where he'll say things like this, like sex is for making children. Pull it back up on screen here. Let's take it right there. Sex is for making children. Any man who has sex with a woman because it feels good is gay. Oh, my PP feels. He'll say crap like that just because he almost to an extent wants to see what he can get away with. Like, that's what I think.
I mean, I do think he's a professional troll as well. I mean, I think he 100% is. He's a clout chaser. He's a grifter. I mean, I think he's the definition of a grifter, which is that you say whatever you can to get the clicks. I mean, and that's what he does. Of course we also shouldn't, I guess, shy away from the fact that he is currently facing trials for sex trafficking. He is facing trials for that right now.
Yeah. Again, that's one thing though, is I don't necessarily believe that it's because he's challenging all the people. I think he's pissed off some of the wrong people, but I don't believe he's guilty on that one. I believe he's guilty of something, but I don't believe he's guilty on all that they've accused him of.
I mean, I think because it's Romania, I mean, he has openly admitted to manipulating women into being cam girls for him. He's openly admitted to that.
Yes.
Which I think,
Again, that's why I said, like,
Yeah.
I would not be surprised that he's guilty of something, but the way that it was framed in the media is as if Andrew Tate is like this, like basically Pablo Escobar of women.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's smart enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not smart
to
enough to do that.
But I also don't think that I don't see that. Like, there's definitely somebody out there that's like the Pablo Escobar of sex trafficking. And it might have been Jeffrey Epstein. It could have been somebody else. I don't know. Or it could still be somebody else. There probably is somebody else out
Probably.
there. But that's kind of the way I see it. But I am curious on that idea. So let's take Andrew Tate out of it. Somebody tells you the argument, sex is for making children. Any man who has sex with a woman because it feels good, he says, is gay. But like, let's just say any man who has sex with a woman because it feels good is wrong. What do you think about that?
I mean, ultimately, yes, sex is good for having children. That's the only way to have a child. Obviously, it's good. It's purposeful, but I also think there's other reasons for it. I mean, I think the idea of bonding with someone, connecting with someone, that's another reason that people do it. Yeah, of course, it does feel good. I mean, people do it because it feels good. I guess it depends on the circumstances behind it. If it's a couple that's been together and they have a mutual love and bond and connection, yes, that's different than someone who goes out every night of the week sleeping with a different woman.
Yeah.
Circumstances totally depend.
No, absolutely. And I think that there's a certain level of like bond that can come from it. Like you said, like I think Andrew Tate, once again, there is an absolute, and I talk about this, like here's the nugget of truth to what he said, because it's mostly 99% of it is crap. Here's the nugget of truth to it is there are people, I firmly believe, so I say that because this is my opinion. You can and I want to be clear for everybody out there. This is my opinion. Think for yourself. But based on the things that I see, there are people that are focusing on a certain level of depopulation for whatever reason that may be. And I've debated that with people, what that reason is. But there are people out there that are focused on depopulation. That's why you see things like abortion being frivolously tossed around as if it's this thing that maybe you can even do after the baby's born. We see the climate crisis in which we're told that our carbon footprint, it's all our fault. We have too many people that are utilizing too many things, and thus the world is going to end. Everything in some way is about depopulation. And another one of those things is by forcing this sexuality agenda down your throat, whether that's let's accept the idea of same sex. So then you don't have children. Like Andrew Tate says, you're not going to have kids if you're gay. It's purely for pleasure if you're gay.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. But then he takes it into this whole thing where it's like, oh, well, there's no other sense besides just having children. No, that's not how it works. Or the transgender stuff. That's another way in which they depopulate is that they sterilize children essentially, and even adults, so that they can't have children. Now, if you're that delusional, maybe you shouldn't have children. That's another conversation we could have. But my point being is that I do believe there's a concerted effort to depopulate, and one of the ways in which that is sexuality. However, that doesn't mean that the only purpose is for sex is that there's also an intimacy that can build the bond between man and woman. Even in fact, Proverbs 5:15, for anybody who's religious out there, be faithful to your own wife and give your love to her alone. Children that you have by other women will do you no good. Your children should grow up to help you, not strangers, pretty and graceful as a deer. And so essentially what that verse says in it is it's about being faithful to your wife. It's about having that relationship with that one person, because of the intimacy that it'll grow. And yes, it will bring children, as the verse suggests, but it's also saying that children that you have by other women will do you no good. So any sexual relation that you have outside of that will do you no good. And there's a lot of different ways to interpret it, but simply put, you could say that like you need to build that relationship with that one person.
Right.
Because of the intimacy that it can bring.
Yeah, no, I mean, I 100%. And it's like, again, I mean, I think even compare this to what he said last week, which was men, go out and impregnate every single woman you can. Just, you should have many partners and many kids with many women. He's like, it takes a woman 9 months to have a kid. Well, it takes you 2 minutes, in some cases less, but it's like, yeah, I mean, he's right in the sense that that's of the biology there, but it's not good just to have a ton of illegitimate kids and just have, and have broken homes and parentless homes. It's like, that's not what we need. That's not going to save, it's not going to save our population.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. That when it comes to the Andrew Tate stuff, that's just about all I had on that story. But Josh, if you'd like to stay, I have at least one more story we could talk about if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay, well, I am just wanting to remind everybody to like this video, no matter where you're watching from, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. Were we wrong? Is sex purely for having children? Maybe. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But Josh, did you see this stuff about Alec Baldwin that went viral yesterday?
He was being yelled at?
He was being yelled at.
Yeah.
Okay, did you watch the video?
I saw it briefly between classes. I didn't have a chance to watch it.
Do you know? Okay, so we'll watch it here. But the funny thing is the person who yelled at Alec Baldwin. Actually, I'm just going to let you watch the video, and then we're going to give you the context and everything. But I want to get like your pure reaction, because this story is just fascinating to me. Here's Alec Baldwin getting yelled at while he's at like a coffee place or something. Watch this.
Alec, can you please say Free Palestine one time? Why did you kill that lady? You killed that lady and got no jail time? No jail time, Alec? No jail time, Alec. You're putting innocent people in jail, Alec Baldwin. Free Palestine, Alec, just one time, and I'll leave you alone. I'll leave you alone, I swear. Just say Free Palestine one time. One time. One time. One time, Alec. You know he's a criminal. You know he's a fucking criminal. Come on, Alec, just say Free Palestine one time. One time, just one time, please, and I'll leave you alone. Free Palestine. Fuck Israel, fuck Zionism. Please say it. One time.
Could you do me one quick favor?
Alec, can you...
I'm sorry.
That's impressive. That was impressive.
Can you do me one quick favor? Like right in the fucking camera.
Wow.
Okay. Thoughts?
I mean, it's crazy that she jumped between you murdered someone and then say Free Palestine. Like, those are so two different things. I don't know how they relate in any way, but it was very funny. Yeah, that little jab at the camera was impressive. He still got it, and he's still young at heart, I guess. I love that. Yeah, I love that he was just like, he looks so fed up, just like, and done. Like, this is my life now. That was a pretty funny video all around.
Okay, so the woman actually, before I even get to the name of the woman, and what she looks like and all that stuff, what did you think? Do you think it's okay for him to react in that way? Like, if she were to file assault charges or anything like that, would you feel like, do you feel like he's more justified, or that she would be more justified to press charges? I
mean, I think legally he wasn't justified, but like as a human, I get it. If that
he was, I mean, like, he was being harassed. Like, you could make
it would be a clear argument, but like, she wasn't allowing, like, she wasn't blocking him, she wasn't allowing him not to leave. She was she's like, yeah, I'll leave, like, I won't leave you alone, but he could have also just left.
True.
Like, True. He clearly opened the door and said, get out. And it's like, okay, but you can leave too. If she continued to follow you, okay, now that's harassment because now she's stalking you. But like, you could have just left.
True. Interesting. Well, the name of that woman, the plot thickens on this one a lot, Josh, and I guarantee you're not expecting any of this. The woman who is a part of that goes by the name of Crackhead Barney. I'm not even kidding you. Crackhead Barney. And this gets so crazy. Piers Morgan interviewed Crackhead Barney today. And I gotta say, if you're there, this was allowed on cable TV, so it's obviously not like that bad, but I think it was allowed on cable TV. I can't even like wrap my head around the fact that this is what this woman looks like.
Oh God, I'm so scared.
But this is this makes me feel like Alec is so much more justified in what he did, because I saw what Crackhead Barney looks like. So let's take a look right here.
Oh! She is. Oh, she's in the new Joker movie. She's an
And she-
extra.
Well, she obviously sustained serious injuries from the Alec Baldwin assault. She's got
Yeah.
the neck brace and the crutches. But let's
There's
take a look.
so much to digest here.
There's more too. Like if you also notice, and this is only because I've watched part of this clip before, the tube top that she has on is not covering her
Yeah,
breasts.
it's pulled up over. Yeah.
The sunglasses inside too. Looks like, honestly, you want to know what she looks like to me?
What does she look like?
Wait, I gotta pull this up. This is like,
Oh God, I'm scared. Pierce looks so done with his life, and I love it.
this is. Wait, it's like the guy from Monsters Inc. That's what she looks like. That's what she looks like right
Oh
there.
my God. That's awesome.
That's what she looks like.
Oh,
It's literally the dude
Yes,
from Monsters Inc.
that is beautiful.
All right, let's go back to her now. All right, let's see what crackhead Barbie had to say, or Barney had to say on Piers Morgan with like suntan lotion and everything. What the?
Pierce fucking Morgan. You're asking too
Just for the
many
record, my
questions.
name is actually just
What's
Piers Morgan.
wrong with saying free Palestine? Pierce, can you say free Palestine for me?
I
Pierce,
think
can you say free Palestine?
Wait, real quick, I want to say she goes Piers fucking Morgan. He goes, just to be clear, my name is just Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan. Yeah, that was awesome.
For
if
me?
you stop shouting, yeah.
I want you to say it.
Yes, I'm happy to say.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not going to shout.
If you just,
Mr. Pierce Morgan,
if you just
please
keep
say
quiet,
free
I can answer your
Palestine.
question. Yes, I'm very happy to
I'm
say
never
that.
quiet, Pierce.
Sorry, you're still talking.
I'm never quiet.
Okay, but try.
I'm never
Otherwise,
quiet,
I can't.
Pierce. I cannot
You asked me
shut
to
up.
do something. If you don't shut up, I can't give you the answer.
Oh my God.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'll shut up for you.
I
You can't-
absolutely believe that Palestine should be free. Yes.
Okay. And how are we going to do that, Pierce? Give us the answers, Pierce Morgan. Give us the fucking answers.
Okay,
How are we going to make Palestine free?
Simple.
How are
as
we going
me-
to do it?
If it was as simple as me just giving a simple answer now, it would have been done by now. Very complicated issue. But let me ask you again. Why? Let me ask you again, seriously. Why did you do what you did to Alec Baldwin, and what did you hope to achieve?
Alec Baldwin. Look at me. Pierce, honestly. Look at this. Look at me. Pierce,
I think that's the most important part right there. Listen to this one more time.
Pierce, I was. Look at this. Look at me.
Look at me. I think that's the most important. We're going to finish off this 2 minutes, but I think that is the most important part because that's what this person is doing. She's obviously quite mentally ill, and is begging for attention. None of this is about Palestine. None of this is about Israel. None of this is about Alec Baldwin. What this woman wants is attention. And to an extent, I think we should give it to her in the fact that we should blow this kind of stuff up. So then she gets like, what we need to do is this shouldn't be like front page for whoever's sponsoring the next legislation to open up loony bins again. That's the kind of like we need to put this woman in a loony bin, lock the door, throw away the key, everything.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Pierce, I was maimed by a white man.
Listen,
But
I understand.
here
I
we
understand you're a performative artist. I understand you're trying to make everybody laugh. You've made your joke about your
So
terrible
be a
maiming.
satellite, you're lashing me.
Right. Okay. I'm not lashing
I
you.
was being. This is the third.
Do
This
you
is
wanna-
the third white man to beat me this week.
Right.
Third
Okay.
white man. Yesterday, my white boyfriend beat the shit out of me. This is the third white man. Monday was Alec. The second day was another white man. Third day, Piers Morgan is beating me up on international TV.
So that's a real person that actually exists. And Piers is right. Like, I think that this is like in some way an act.
It's performance art. Yeah.
I hate to even call it art. Like, that's not art.
Yeah. I mean,
That's like, that's just, it's disgusting. It's It's stupidity. And it makes it, and then people wonder, like, I don't know. You want to put your real conspiracy theory hat on for a sec? Everybody, let's strap on in, put the conspiracy theory hat on. Here's my conspiracy theory for the day for everybody. I think she's a conservative plant.
Really?
Because if I wanted to make the free Palestine and like basically neo-Nazis that are like on Columbia and everything look even stupider than they already do, than taking over college campuses, than doing all that stuff. If I wanted to make them look even stupider, I would send that. That's what I would do. So Crackhead Barney is a conservative plant. That's my conspiracy theory for the day.
All right. I don't know if I believe you or if I follow that. Because I think those people make themselves look bad enough. I think we're a country that just has a serious mental health issue, and we need to address it. Maybe not for everyone. You know what? Maybe we need this craziness in our life, but maybe it makes life more fun. And, you know, I think I did hear my student mention something about Barney today, and I didn't know what they were talking about. I think it was this. I'm going to have to ask them about it Friday. I'd be like, were you talking about this incident? Because what is this? And, yeah, I mean, that is my favorite thing now.
Crackhead Barney, man. Crackhead Barney.
It looks straight. It straight looks like she watched the Joker 2 trailer and went, "Oh, I'm gonna, yeah, there's my inspiration for my makeup."
No, it's absolutely insane. Like, that's the thing, though. Is like, and maybe it wasn't Piers Morgan. Somebody else. I think I posted it to Twitter earlier today. Maybe. Let me double check on my X/Twitter. But I posted a thing earlier today, or I remember here's what it is. It was actually John Fetterman, who I have given a lot of credit to.
Yeah, he's been great.
And this kind of is my perfect response to the crackhead Barbie or anybody like that, or the people that are on college campuses right now. Take a look and listen to what John Fetterman had to say earlier today in the Capitol building.
But it is not appropriate or illegal, or it's helpful to advance your argument if you show up in a Starbucks with a bullhorn and start yelling at people, and that doesn't make you noble. It just makes you an asshole. It's very American to protest, and to do that in the appropriate way, then I absolutely support that. I'm not suggesting that you have to agree with my view, but it's just saying it doesn't really allow you to disrupt lives and to inflict those kinds of damages on people that are just trying to get on with their lives.
Reasonable take from the stroke victim. Like, is that what it takes to be a reasonable Democrat? Is to literally
I said that weeks ago, and you made fun of me for it. I've been saying it
for months, man. Like, it's serious though. I mean, it really is. Is that really what it has to take?
I said he had a stroke and he got more conservative. I don't know what.
No, not that he got more conservative. He got more reasonable, because he's not more conservative. Like, I feel like that's a reasonable. That is not. Yeah, that's not a conservative. The sad thing is that you're right in terms of that it gets framed as a conservative take nowadays. It gets framed as though saying that you shouldn't go and just disrupt, you shouldn't go block the entrance into O'Hare Airport, you shouldn't go block the Golden Gate Bridge so that people can't get to work, like that you shouldn't set up camps on college campuses and autonomous zones at Columbia University or wherever the heck you are, or that you shouldn't go on Piers Morgan's show with your tits out and like with white face on, like you're basically like the opposite of Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder. Like, you shouldn't,
because Downey Jr. was funny.
That's true. Yeah. Well, this was funny, but for a different reason. But like, that's common sense to say you shouldn't do those things to try to get your political point across. You just shouldn't do them for common decency. And so, like, it's not more conservative. And that's the sad thing, is how is that seen as a conservative thing now? Why is and Josh, like, I'm seriously looking for an answer to this. Why is it that so many people that advocate for leftist things, whether that's climate change, they throw paint on the Mona Lisa, or even like Campbell's soup on the Mona Lisa, or they go out, and I've seen vegans out there that they go on to buses and just like, they're basically dressed in like nothing and dress themselves up as pigs and tell everybody that because they eat bacon, they're raping like moms. And like that, or then you have these people that set up camps. Why is it that all of leftist activism is about causing a disturbance? It's not about getting people to actually listen to them or engaging. Because we were I mean, I still am. You kind of still are. I mean, you're a teacher now, but like basically in college, besides being students, we were full-time activists.
Right.
We were never out there. We were out there to be uncomfortable.
Sure.
In terms of like, yeah, let's have a conversation people aren't willing to talk about. But if people wanted to walk right by us, we weren't going to chase them down. We weren't going to take up their space. We weren't going to get in their face. We were like, hey, come and talk to us. And if you don't want to, walk away. See
I mean, and we might wear a funny outfit, you know, an American flag romper and things like that. But like, that was fun. That was just for fun. I think it comes down to ultimately the idea that they always say, you know, no publicity is bad publicity. And so, we might all be laughing at you, but we're talking about you. We're talking about your cause. And when they say, you know, so-and-so part of this organization, your organization's now in the news. Now, while that majority of people might laugh, and there's going to be that small subsection that goes, what is this group? I'm going to go look them up. I think to go full circle, bring it back to the Andrew Tate thing. It's the same thing he does. You say the crazy things, you get the publicity. 9 out of 10 people might laugh at you, but that one person is going to go, I get what they're saying, and I'm going to subscribe to that. That's all it takes is one person here, and then another person is just slowly building.
Interesting. I don't know. It's just like, it's, I feel like maybe to some extent, I would say you catch more flies with honey.
I would agree. I mean, I would agree.
But because they get that certain level of publicity, maybe, I don't know. It's just right.
I mean, because everyone is going to talk about that video. That video is going to be, you know, I think even, and this is why I sometimes kind of give flack to some conservative commentators who every little thing they're posting, it's like, okay, you're giving them the publicity they want. You want it to die, just don't talk about it. Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. Just let them. The worst thing that can happen to them is that they react big and you go, okay, and move on. But the minute you start giving them the pushback is the minute they get more powerful. And in fact, to quote our namesake of the book, Speechless, that he talks about that.
Yeah.
I just read it. I mean, he talks about that is the minute you give them the attention is the minute they keep going.
True. I'm just looking at some of these comments. You catch more honeys being fly. Thank you.
That's the best comment.
That's comment of the week right there. You catch more
honeys being fly.
I like it. Whoever said that's a pretty cool person.
That's awesome.
I think John has come around a little bit, but he's still far left. John Fetterman, if he actually left the Democrat Party, he would fit in nicely, but he's more common sense since the stroke has gone. And that's the thing. And that's what I want is like, can we just like be like reasonable?
Right.
Like, just be like, okay, we can disagree on social issues like gay marriage or something like that. We can disagree on marijuana usage. We can disagree on tax code, things like that. But can we all agree that like you shouldn't set up an autonomous zone and tell everybody and literally have like flyers that say death to America set up, like, sent out? Like, can we also agree that like when you're in the United States Capitol building, you should not be waving the Ukrainian flag?
Yeah.
Like, why? Why is this? Why is that seen as like it's so?
Well, I mean, and I like,
sad.
And I like even when Fetterman a couple weeks ago he goes talking about border security isn't xenophobic. It's not racist. We're a country. We need to have security. And if that makes and this is ridiculous that we're even framing it this way. Can we have because I think he even said if we can't have a common sense conversation, we're going to get nowhere. Let's start at the basics.
Yeah.
If we can agree on the basics, then we can get into, do we put more funding? Do we do this? But I even made this years ago when we did a debate at ISU was if we can't agree on a baseline, we're going to get nowhere.
Absolutely. Well, even like, because even the idea of saying that we should deport an illegal immigrant who is a murderer,
Right.
that is controversial. Saying illegal immigrant, which is a definitively correct term, is in and of itself
I saw
controversial.
a kid just got expelled for writing illegal alien in an English paper.
Absolutely idiotic.
I mean,
All of that. And it's so crazy. Like, that's like the thing is, again, we can disagree on whether or not we need a wall. We can,
Right.
like, that's what 2016 was. At that point, it was like, oh man, like, we don't need a wall. Even in 2016, though, your average Democrat still agreed that, like, we shouldn't just be letting in anybody. Nowadays, it's like, well, you have one party that believes that we are a country and another party that believes that we're a charity.
right. Right. I mean, and I have students who are immigrants, and they consider themselves more democratic and more, more progressive. And we have these conversations, and they're like, no, they're like, yeah, the system is difficult, but like there should be a good system in place and a strong system. Like, we could talk about, is it too expensive? Is it too long? Sure, those are the conversations we used to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are good conversations to have. But they're like, no, we shouldn't be just letting everyone in. Like, that's crazy. And I'm like, okay, we're common sense. We can all agree on a couple common sense things, and that's great.
Exactly. But then what ends up happening too is we get bogged down in what is called meta conversation.
Yeah.
So meta conversation is conversation about the conversation. So if you start, instead of actually discussing what the topic is, you start discussing how we got to that topic, or somebody said this, or define our terms all the time. And that's what happens is the left will distract you from actually being able to talk about illegal immigration, because they'll tell you, oh, well, we need to not use the term illegal alien. We need to not use the term illegal. We need to not use the term alien. That's the problem, is we can't be talking so much about the conversation. We need to have the flipping conversation, because the left will come up to you and they will sound genuine. And I'm telling you this as a conservative activist who was in college and tried this with people. Not you, Josh. I'm telling this to the viewers, because
Yeah.
you saw this too. Is you would have people that would come up to you and they'd be like, I want to have a genuine conversation with you. And they would say that, and they would say that they're being genuine in the most disingenuous way, because they would say that, and then the next second, they would be like, well, don't use illegal. That offends me. Or don't say biological man. That offends me.
Right.
Well, then we're getting bogged down in the meta conversation. Accept my terms. I'll accept yours. You can speak how you want to speak to me. And then if you need clarification on if I say something that you're not sure exactly what I mean, like if I say when life begins and you want to know, well, when exactly do you believe life begins in a topic of abortion, then ask me to define my terms. So
Right.
then you understand the language I'm speaking and I understand the language you're speaking, but that's what the left will do, is they don't actually want to have the conversation. They just want to waste your time.
Yeah.
A
No,
lot.
I agree. I mean, I agree. And that's it's sad that we just can't even have the conversations. We can't have the basic we can't have the common sense. Everyone's become so political and so ideological that we just can't even have a basic conversation. We can't agree on the basics.
You're absolutely right on that. And speaking of having a conversation, if you have time, I have one more thing I wanted to talk about tonight. I had a lot of things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I got nothing to do.
We're getting kind of close to around the time that I wanted to wrap up. The topic of abortion. The topic of abortion. I know, Josh, you've kind of come a long way, briefly, not too long, kind of explain like where your opinions have shifted. Because for the most part, I mean, since I went to college, I identified as pro-life, and then I kind of grappled with the ideas of rape versus incest and life of the mother, all that kind of stuff, educated myself more, but I've been adherently pro-life. There was a time in college, I know you were much more pro-choice. Where are you now? How have you come to your current opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I ultimately kind of agree with the Supreme Court's decision, which is it's a states' rights issue at this point. I think morally, I don't like it. I wouldn't advocate for it. If someone came to me and said, I'm thinking about it, I would say, let's talk about it, look at the other options. But ultimately, you as a person need to make a decision. I won't maybe agree with it, but I'll support you as a person and as a friend. But yeah, I think it's kind of a states' rights issue.
You see it as a states' rights issue, but that's still kind of broad. Let's narrow it down. If you're voting in the state that you're in, would you, if the topic was abortion and or let's just say there was, because a lot of states, they put it on their ballot.
On the ballot. Yeah, on the ballot.
Yeah. And so like if it was between a statewide ban on abortion Let's say, what would be the abortion bill you would not vote for, and what's the abortion bill you would vote for?
I'd go 15 weeks. I think that'd be my.
Why 15 weeks?
That's, I think, the compromise.
No. Don't go for a compromise. What do you want? Like, what would you vote for? Like, that's a compromise. That's like if you're like in the state house and you're like trying to form the legislation. I want to know, what would you vote for? What would be in God King Josh Bender's world? What would you vote for?
I'd probably go 15 with the really rare exceptions of like mom's gonna die on the table and there's no other option. Of course, you do what you can. But 15, I think, is the why. No real good answer other than I think it sounds good. It's a number I can wrap my head around.
Okay. See, so like we can have that debate. I'm not looking to have that debate tonight. We should at some point on maybe a show. But what I really wanted to talk about, because that's actually fairly similar to Donald Trump's current position on abortion, which I was very critical of, because he always tries to tout that he's this, or he has in multiple occasions said he's the most pro-life president, that he tries to very much pander to the Christian vote, and then kind of turns his back on them in terms of this issue. However, this last week, I find it interesting. The left is still trying to frame him as if he is going to basically create, what's that show from Hulu that everybody talks about?
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. They say that Trump is going to create the Handmaid's Tale in America.
Yeah.
And this is just another example of that. I haven't actually watched this full ad yet, but I had a few people send it to me, want me to talk about it.
I saw this ad.
This is from Gavin Newsom. He releases this ad, and I find it interesting. Take a look and a listen to this.
We're almost there. You're going to make it.
Trump Republicans want to criminalize young Alabama women who travel for reproductive care.
Miss, I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle, take a pregnancy test.
Stop them by taking action at righttotravel.org. Campaign for Democracy Group is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So this is actually like a super problematic ad.
Yeah, in so many ways.
First off, just the idea, like, it's like really funny. Like, honestly, it's kind of funny to me.
I watched it and I laughed because I'm like, is this satire?
Because
and then I found out it was from Gavin Newsom and I go, oh no, it's just from Gavin Newsom. Got it.
Yeah, well, because like the thing is, when it comes to this ad, like a cop can't even really always tell when you don't have your seatbelt on.
Right.
So they're gonna know that you're driving across state lines for an abortion. Like, this makes no sense. No sense. And along with that, Donald Trump's own claim of policy belief directly counters this.
Yeah, I mean, he when Arizona made that ruling about they can enforce the 1897 ban or whatever, he was like, "That's a shame." He goes, "That's shameful. We shouldn't allow that."
Which also pisses me off because the week before that he said it's a states' right issue.
Right.
So if you're going to come out and say it's a states' rights issue, then let Arizona do whatever the fuck they want.
We can talk about if Donald Trump is moral and good. I think I've said my piece on that enough of what I think of him.
But it's just like that's just it was kind of a digression from me. But my point being is that if it's a states' rights issue, let it be a states' rights issue.
Right. No, I agree. And I think, and again, I mean, in full disclosure, I obviously listen to Ben Shapiro a lot, and he's talked about this a lot. He goes, in my perfect world, it would be abandoned. Abortion would be completely outlawed to be done. He's like, but I live in the real world. In the real world, we have to understand there's a culture shift. He goes, and the dirty secret of this is Donald Trump is the moderate in this race on this issue compared to Joe Biden. Like he truly is. And I agree. I think he is more than likely to get a moderate vote who can look past all the lies and go, yeah, I get what he's saying here. Because I mean, I live in a state where it's enshrined in our Constitution. It's enshrined in the Nevada Constitution, abortion. Yeah. Okay. So when we talked about this in my class, I go, it's not going away unless we have a constitutional amendment. It's not going to go away. That's simple. I mean, that's simply the thing. Where other states, yeah, they're not going to allow it, but then that's the state. That's the prerogative of the state. That's the wonders of federalism and the wonders of states' choice. If you don't agree with it, you don't move to Tennessee, Alabama, Texas, Florida. You stay in Nevada. You go to Colorado. You go to Illinois, New York, California, wherever you want to go.
Yeah, and I get that, and I could argue that policy position, but once again, I get mad I'm mad at everybody. I'm so pissed off.
Me
At everybody.
Me too. I was talking about that today.
I'm pissed off at everybody because you got Trump, who says it's a states' rights issue, but then turns his back on Arizona when they, as a state, are making their own states' rights decision on this. And then and he says it's a states' rights issue. He turns his back on even the people that have believed him to be this pro-life advocate, and as if he's ardently conservative on the issue. And then you have Gavin Newsom, and a lot of Democrats who come out and are like, oh no, he's going to do a federal abortion ban, and he's going to turn this country into a Christo-fascist state that basically says you're not allowed to get an abortion because the Bible says so. And those are just terrible people. Like, you don't have a right to your own body. They're sexist, misogynistic pieces of crap. No. You're all wrong. Like, you're all like, just like not following what is actually going on in reality.
Right. Yeah. I mean, no, and that's the thing. I mean, and this is, and this is one thing I think is really fun because I'm working with young people who are just starting to realize politics exist and who really need to as I said to them today, guess what? You all can vote this year. That's a big responsibility.
That's so flipping scary.
It's scary. I'm teaching kids who can vote for the first time this year. That's very scary, but it's also a cool opportunity because I'm watching them become more media literate.
Yeah.
And watching them become more curious on politics, which is super fun. I think now, especially that primary season's over, like they're really in, they're really all in. But we definitely, these conversations have arisen and arose, and people have talked about them, about like the different positions. And it's like, the hardest thing I think that I drill into them is stop listening to the noise. Don't read the headline. Go research. Go read the actual, because the headline will say Trump says federal abortion ban is necessary. Yeah. Then you go read it and he says it would be necessary in a perfect world, but actually it's not. Like, go read the actual context. And this is this instance here. And yes, Trump is being very weird on this issue. He's not being consistent on this issue. He's causing a lot of issues. I've seen Carrie Lake flip-flop on it like 4 times because she's trying to take his lead, but when he doesn't have a good stance, she has to jump back and forth. So she looks contradictory, and say what you will about Carrie Lake. I think that makes it harder for the entire party when the leader is flip-flopping and you have to go, where am I going with this?
Well, I agree. And that's the difficulty with, what are we going to be as a party? Like, I think I think Republicans are in an identity crisis, and I think they have been. I think they have been, especially since 2020. And I don't think, and I think Trump contributes to that, but I don't think he's the main cause of it. I think every Republican, I think it's difficult because we have a left wing that's so far left wing. And so you have some people that are like, we need to directly counter that. And we need to be as extreme on every single issue because like, we need to, like, that's how you, to some extent, that's how you negotiate, is like, the way that you're going to get to the middle is everybody starts at their extremes. Somebody asks for the highest price, somebody asks for the lowest price, and eventually you're going to get into the middle. And then you have other people that just are like, well, let's start in the middle so we can win more people over. And I think they both kind of make sense. But because we can't work together when we're all trying to work our own plan.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know we've talked about this issue a lot, but this is why I give a lot of flack to, especially the House Republican caucus, who are so unwilling to work with the other side. It's like, to an extent, you need to. To an extent, you do need to. There's only a 1-seat majority. You need to work with them to an extent because you also have a Democrat Senate, Democrat president. You got to work with the other side. There's got to be a willingness. You can stick to your extremes and to your ideology and to your extreme. That's cool. But you have to be willing to say, while I am here, I understand we need to be here right now. And we can get here with time. And I think that's the thing that they're willing to say is it's going to take I think America's in an identity crisis as a whole.
Yeah, I'd agree. That's one thing I really liked about Vivek's.
Yeah.
what Vivek
that is
said.
one thing I love that he said is we're in an identity crisis, and as a culture we need to shift this way. But if we just say you're here or here, all these people in the middle are now lost, and that's why I think NBC had a poll today that said political like disengagement is the highest it's ever been in this country, because everyone's just like, where do I go? What do I do?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I totally see that. I totally do. All right. Well, Josh, I'm looking to wrap up a little bit here. Any final words you have to say to anybody out there watching, thinking, saying?
No, I will say I was just recently on 2 podcasts. I shared one today, and I could post it in the comments. It's called The Conservative Classroom. I was just on that talking about being a conservative teacher. I was on another one. The name's escaping me. I can find out that, but I helped contribute to a book, and now she has a podcast, and she had me on again. Just talking about being a conservative and on campus, and then now in the classroom, what it's like, what teaching is like right now. You know, I think if you want to know what teaching's like, hear from teachers that we're on the ground every day. And so those have been really fun.
Yep. And Josh has been a lot on my show, so make sure no matter where you're watching from, go check out my YouTube, Speechless with Kev. He'll continue to be on. He's been on a lot. He used to actually help host this show when it was just on the radio, but we cut him because I'm just too pretty. So
yeah, that's it.
And a little bit of a liar. But everybody, don't forget, no matter where you're watching from, to like this video, subscribe, follow everything at Speechless Kev, at Kevin the Ferris. All you got to do is just look up Speechless with Kev, and you'll find literally everything about me, that anybody could ever know, pretty much. So do that. Comment what you think on all my videos, wherever. Share it with your friends. We're getting the news out in a way that nobody else is covering it, and it's so important that we keep pushing for the free exchange of information in the way and just opinions that no one else is. I mean, Fox News isn't going to give you this. CNN isn't going to give you this. Piers Morgan is going to give you a Joker looker with her titties out. But we are going to give you fun in a different way. So God bless you. God bless America. And until tomorrow, you've been watching Speechless.